There are humiliations meant to break a person. And then there are humiliations that end up breaking the one who delivers them. Zuri Daniels had never been the kind of woman who raised her voice to prove her power. She didn't need to. Her presence alone quieted chaos, sharpened rooms, and commanded attention without a single word. But in the trading floor of Apex Global Bank, the place she had rebuilt, stabilized, and restored from disaster, power had become a performance. A spectacle for the insecure, a throne for those who were terrified of losing control. And no one feared losing control more than Chairman Richard Holston. He paced the upper balcony of the trading floor like a king surveying land he hadn't built. His suit, silver cufflinks, and slicked-back arrogance glistened beneath the fluorescent lights. Every step echoed entitlement. Every breath radiated bitterness. That's the thing about fragile men. They don't just hate losing power. They hate owing that power to someone they believe shouldn't have had it in the first place. And today, Holston was ready to reclaim what he mistakenly believed was his throne. Zuri stood in the center of the trading floor, surrounded by hundreds of employees, analysts, tellers, brokers, compliance officers, every one of them frozen as if the air itself had thickened. Her assistant Jordan whispered beside her, voice shaking. "Ms. Daniels, something's wrong. The board's been in a closed-door session for 3 hours." She didn't respond. Her intuition had already told her everything she needed to know. This wasn't a meeting. This wasn't a discussion. This was a setup. Phones were already pointed her way. Cameras already watching. The trading floor, normally alive with numbers and noise, had fallen eerily silent. Then came the sound that changed everything. Footstep. Slow. Heavy. Intentional. Holston descended the glass staircase with theatrical timing, as if he practiced the moment in a mirror. Board members trailed behind him, smirking like hyenas circling a lioness they believed was weakened. He stopped 5 feet in front of Zuri, close enough for his cologne to mix with the scent of ego. "Zuri Daniels," he declared loudly, projecting his voice across the entire room. "Your tenure as CEO ends today." Gasps exploded. Employees froze mid-keystroke. A clerk dropped a stack of papers. Someone whispered, "Is this real?" Zuri didn't blink. She didn't flinch. She simply breathed, deep, calm, steady. Holston leaned in. "You are hereby terminated for failing to represent the traditional values of this institution." He said, "Traditional values," slowly, deliberately, like a man savoring the taste of coded discrimination. Then he did something none of them expected. Something even his own board members hadn't anticipated. He reached forward and ripped the CEO badge from her chest. The metal snapped. The lanyard tore. The sound sliced through the trading floor like a cracked bone. Holston looked at the badge as if holding a trophy, and then tossed it into a nearby trash bin with a smug flick of his wrist. And just like that, he tried to erase her. Phones lifted instantly. Employees stood in stunned paralysis. The board chuckled under their breath. Holston's grin widened like he'd just restored the natural order. "Take your box," he barked, gesturing as security handed Zuri a cardboard container. "And get out. Walk out the same way everyone else who doesn't fit our culture walks out." The message wasn't subtle. It never was. It was meant to degrade, to shame, to make her small in front of the world. But Zuri Daniels didn't do small. She never had. She placed the box down gently beside her feet, like she was refusing to participate in his little theater. Then she lifted her chin, her gaze slicing through Holston's false confidence. "You're making the biggest mistake of your life," she said quietly. Holston laughed, loud enough for the cameras. "The only mistake was hiring you in the first place." Employees shifted uncomfortably. Some looked away in guilt. Others looked ready to cry. Security guards stepped closer, waiting for his signal. Holston smiled like a man moments away from victory. Escort her out. Zuri didn't move. Instead, she reached calmly into her blazer. Holston rolled his eyes. "Calling your lawyer? How cute." Zuri typed one command. One secure message. One code that only 3 people in the entire federal financial system knew existed. Operation Red Line active. Holston scoffed. You think anyone in this building outranks me? Zuri smiled, small, controlled, dangerous. No. I think the people I called outrank all of us. And then, the glass doors to the trading floor burst open. Wind rushed in. Silence swallowed the room. And a line of federal regulators, high-ranking attorneys, and 2 men in dark treasury suits with badges raised marched across the floor. The energy changed instantly. Air shifted. Fear rippled. The lead federal agent spoke. Chairman Richard Holston. Step away from Ms. Daniels. Effective immediately, Apex Global Bank is under federal supervision. Holston's smirk vanished. The board stumbled backward. Reporters pressed against the lobby glass. For what? Holston stammered. Zuri answered for him. Slowly, clearly, in a voice that carried through every corner of the building. For the crimes you've been covering up. For the discrimination complaints you buried. For the loan applications you blocked because of race and zip code. For using this bank as your personal playground for prejudice. Holston's face drained of color. The Treasury agent continued. Ms. Daniels provided us with evidence. We've been investigating for months. Your public stunt just accelerated your downfall. Legal officers fanned out, securing servers, collecting devices, escorting corrupt board members away from terminals. Panic exploded across the floor. Holston tried to push past security. I am the chairman. You can't do this. But then came the final blow. Miranda Cole, Zuri's chief legal strategist, stepped into the circle. You forfeited all authority the moment you assaulted a sitting CEO and attempted a discriminatory removal. Zuri stepped closer, reclaiming the very space Holston tried to steal from her. Did you think I rebuilt this bank without protecting it? She said softly. Did you think the profits came from nowhere? Every improvement had my signature. And every crime had yours. Holston shouted, You'll ruin the bank. No, Zuri said. You already did. I'm saving it. The Treasury agent held up document. Richard Holston, you are removed from all positions and placed under arrest for federal fraud, discrimination, and obstruction. Handcuffs clicked. Gasps erupted. The powerful man who tried to erase her was now reduced to a headline waiting to happen. You set me up, Holston whispered, terrified. No, Zuri replied. You set yourself up the moment you believed I'd stay silent. Employees began clapping. Soft at first, then louder, then thunderous. Zuri turned to them. Let today be the last time anyone in this building is disrespected for who they are. We rise together, or we don't rise at all. Jordan approached with watery eyes. Miss Daniels, welcome back. Zuri nodded. Call an all-hands meeting. We rebuild with integrity. She walked past Holston as he was dragged through the lobby, reporters swarming like vultures, cameras flashing relentlessly. She didn't even look at him. Justice doesn't need to gloat. Justice stands tall. Zuri entered her office. She reached into the trash, picked up her badge, dusted it off, and clipped it back where it belonged. The new era starts now, she said. But what Zuri didn't know, what no one knew, is that her greatest battle wasn't the one she just survived. It was the one walking toward Apex Global Bank at that very moment, in a limousine tinted black, holding documents that could destroy everything she had rebuilt. The doors of Zuri Daniels' office closed behind her with a soft but firm click, sealing out the chaos of the trading floor. Outside, the storm of cameras, flashing lights, and whispers still raged, but inside, she was alone with the weight of what had just happened. Her badge gleamed softly under the polished desk lamp as she held it in her palm. It was more than a symbol. It was a testament, a trophy of survival in a war that had only just begun. Jordan knocked gently and stepped inside. Miss Daniels, the staff are ready for your address. Zuri nodded. Tell them to prepare the conference room. We have a lot of work ahead. Jordan hesitated. They're scared. Some are questioning if we can survive this. Zuri's gaze hardened, eyes bright with fierce determination. Fear is the weapon of the powerless. We don't have that luxury. The room was packed, buzzing with tension. Employees sat shoulder to shoulder, their faces a mix of exhaustion, hope, and uncertainty. Zuri stepped forward, her presence immediately commanding silence. I know today has been hard. What you witnessed was painful. But I promise you this. This bank will no longer tolerate the poison of prejudice. A young analyst, eyes wide, whispered, "But what about Holston? What if he fights back?" Zuri's voice dropped to a calm certainty. Holston is just the symptom. We're about to expose the disease. Her words hung in the air like a clarion call. Miles away, in the tinted darkness of a black limousine, a man stared intently at a file resting on his lap. The man was Charles Grant, a corporate titan with a reputation as ruthless as it was mysterious. His cold eyes flicked over the pages, absorbing the intelligence within. A dossier on Zuri Daniels, Apex Global Bank, and a web of secrets that could shake the foundations of power. Everything must be controlled, he muttered, fingers tapping impatiently on the leather seat. Beside him, a woman with icy blonde hair and piercing eyes glanced at the file. Zuri's rise is a threat to everything we've built. Grant, this won't just be a battle for a bank. It's a battle for the future. Charles nodded. Then we burn the future to protect the past. Days after Holston's arrest, the atmosphere at Apex was a mix of cautious optimism and relentless pressure. Federal regulators tightened their grip, sweeping through files and systems, but Zuri found herself locked in a new war, one fought in boardrooms and whispered corridors. Emails disappeared mysteriously. Critical data was corrupted. A shadow war had begun. One afternoon, Jordan rushed into Zuri's office, face pale. "Miss Daniels, there's been a security breach. Someone leaked sensitive client information." Zuri's jaw clenched. "This is no accident." Her phone buzzed relentlessly, a torrent of threatening messages, warnings veiled in corporate jargon. Someone was trying to break her. Just when the walls seemed to close in, an unexpected voice broke through. Miranda Cole, Zuri's chief legal strategist, stepped into the light with a new plan. "We've identified a mole within the board," Miranda revealed. "Someone feeding information to outside forces, and it's someone close to Holston." Zuri's eyes narrowed. Time to clean house. With Miranda's legal expertise and Jordan's insider knowledge, they began an internal purge. Every email, every transaction, every whispered conversation was scrutinized. The mole wouldn't get far, but even the strongest fall into doubt. Late one night, alone in her office, Zuri stared out at the city skyline, a sea of lights and shadows. Was it enough? Was her fight truly just beginning? Could she protect the people who had believed in her? Her phone buzzed again. Another message. "Remember who controls the game." It was unsigned. Ominous. Her fingers tightened around the device. This was more than a bank battle. It was a fight for dignity, for respect, for the future of every person who'd ever been told they didn't belong. And Zuri Daniels was ready. As the city lights flickered through her office window, a shadow moved outside, silent, watching. Charles Grant's men had arrived. The fight was far from over. The air in Apex Global Bank's executive suite was thick with tension. Months of battles, legal, political, and personal, had led to this moment. Zuri Daniels stood in the center of the room, facing off against Charles Grant, the corporate titan whose shadow had darkened her path. Grant's icy smile was like a blade sharpened on arrogance. "You think you've won, Ms. Daniels? This empire isn't yours to save. It belongs to those who built it." Zuri's voice was steady but fierce. "Empires built on oppression crumble. This one will rise on justice." Behind Grant, a cadre of well-dressed mercenaries shifted uneasily, his hired guns in this corporate war. But they underestimated one thing: the power of a woman who refuses to be erased. With the help of Miranda Cole and Jordan, Zuri unveiled evidence tying Grant to decades of corruption, bribery, and manipulation within the banking industry. His grip on power was nothing but a facade propped up by lies and intimidation. In a final public hearing streamed live, Grant's empire began to crumble before millions. The crowd watching witnessed the fall of a man who thought he was untouchable. Grant was arrested, escorted out in cuffs, his empire dismantled piece by piece. The same media that once celebrated his ruthless rise now documented his disgrace. Zuri stood tall, not as a victim but as a victor, not just for herself, but for every unheard voice silenced by prejudice and greed. In the aftermath, Zuri addressed the employees and viewers around the world. Power isn't given, it's earned. It's protected by those who refuse to be silenced, who stand even when the world tries to knock them down. To everyone who has been underestimated, mistreated, or told they don't belong, remember this: your voice is your power. Your dignity is your armor. And together we rise. Zuri picked up her CEO badge, the symbol of her journey, and pinned it firmly over her heart. The camera zoomed out, showing the bustling, renewed Apex Global Bank, a beacon of integrity and hope. If this story moved you, inspired you, or gave you hope, like this video, subscribe for more powerful stories of strength and justice, and drop a comment below telling us which moment hit you hardest. Your voice matters. Together, we amplify stories that change the world.